This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Paul Dickerson.
Hi, I'm Paul Dickerson, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. My guests today are from the recent Rice Alliance Clean Technology and Energy Venture Forum. First up, Gabriel Senior, CFO of GreenStar LED. Following that, I visit with Seth Burns, co-founder and CEO of BioGas and Electric. All that right after this.
Where will the energy come from to move us forward? From natural sources in abundant supply, or perhaps a man-made source? At NRG, we believe innovation will solve our energy needs. That's why NRG is moving away from fossil fuels towards wind, solar, and other sustainable technologies to power the smart grid, the electric car, and our clean energy future. We're using all of our energy to develop more of it.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show here at the Rice Alliance. We have with us Gabriel Senior, CFO of GreenStar LED. Gabriel, great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
So tell us about the company.
Well, so GreenStar LED is a San Antonio-based LED lighting manufacturer. Started 2 years ago, and we currently attack two niche markets, which are street lights, avenues, streets, parking lots, highways, and an indoor application too, an indoor light, with which we serve gas station canopies, warehouses, retail stores. And
you just were awarded a contract, right, through San Antonio?
Yes, that is right. We were just awarded a 25,000 lights contract for the city of San Antonio, which is about a third of all the street lights in the city. And it has us ramping up production and very excited about how growth is.
That's impressive. So can you describe to us what the lights look like?
Yes, our light is nothing to do with a light that you're used to looking at. We came up with a very disruptive product, and our light looks like a paddle with something on top, which is the power supply. We did that because we wanted to be disruptive. We just didn't want to put LEDs in a normal light. And everything has its own reason for being. A very effective heat dissipation mechanism, lenses to throw light wherever it needs to go, a power supply separated from the unit so they don't contaminate with heat. And the indoor light looks just like a standard square with LEDs on its sides.
All right, and the cost is somewhat equivalent?
No, the cost is about 4 times the current technology. That's what's happening all across the LED world. You have about 70% savings in energy. You have life, which is about 5 times the life of the current technology, which saves a lot on maintenance and other equipment. It does carry a price premium, which when that divided by the savings, it's usually a payback of around, in our case, 2.5 to 3 years.
All right. Well, a 2.5 to 3 year payback isn't too bad. So then, what do you think sold San Antonio on you?
Well, San Antonio took a look, like most cities. They've been visited daily by companies offering LED lighting and other technologies too. And San Antonio took a deep look at about 18 of those big companies, and all the big names are there, mind you. They tested us across the board with all of them, and they tested them all across 7 categories, of which we ranked number 1 and number 2 in almost all of them. And then after that, there were also extra requirements that we were able to meet because we were nimble and small, which were move to San Antonio as well and hire local workforce and add some money for education. Dedicate a fund to spend in local education, which is not a problem for us. We'd love to be there.
Well, and talk to us about some of the 7 categories where you were able to really beat the competition.
Okay, well, we definitely weren't the cheapest. So in price, we didn't make the cut as number 1, but probably number 2 or 3. But design, heat dissipation, which is key for the life of the equipment, the lighting pattern on the road itself, how the light looks, and how efficient the light delivery is was another category.
All right, and stop there and describe for our viewers, what does it look like?
Okay, well, lighting and street lights is usually like a typical round or oval spot there, which when you have an array of them, a straight line of them, you have typical very bright spots and very dark spots. Right. And our light uses lenses that shoot light out to the different parts of the road, effectively creating a sort of a rectangle, and with a very minimum overlap between one and the next. So very, very low blank space in between as well. So it's a very well uniformly lit road.
All right, well, and finish your thought on the different categories.
Other categories included intelligent technology. For example, ours has automatic on and off and dimming at night. So the dawn and the dusk, the light operates during those hours at a lower power, so it also saves an additional 10%, so that was a plus. It was also the fact of being willing to move to San Antonio was one of them.
Right.
There was also, in the coverage one, they have areas of the city where they have light poles very far away, typically far away, and we developed a lens, which is a wide throw lens, so we check marked as, yes, they can comply with typically long distances and still cover the road. So that was there too.
How did this company come to be?
Okay, no, our founder, Mr. Paul Duran, has had companies in the refrigeration space, and to light warehouses and trucks, which are at very cold temperatures. The best light out there is LED, and so he came to know that technology through that. And at some point, it dawned on him that this was something very promising, that everything would go LED after a while, and so he joined forces with Chuck Ravarti, which is electronics and communication technologist, and they both got together and said we have to make a light out of LEDs for very big applications like street lighting and indoor lighting, which are huge niches, can be attacked with a very narrow product range. We have to do it better than what is out there, and very efficiently to be able to compete with the head guys over here. And they developed the technology. I mean, it was all done inside the company.
So walk me through the next year or so as far as growth.
Okay, GreenStar is currently in 19 countries. We have sold about 2,800 lights. I like to call these lights seeds because they are not one here and one there. These are lights in one branch of a bank that has 3,000 branches, or in a corporation that has a warehouse, but they also have 1,000 more warehouses waiting to see how this goes. And in cities all across Mexico, Latin America, in several cities in the U.S. and India, where we have our test pilots, and they're doing excellently well. So I expect more home runs like San Antonio to hit along. And so it's a very exciting time to be in the LED space and to be one of the companies that has a product good enough for it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Always, Paul. Thank you so much.
And that concludes my discussion with Gabriel Senior. We'll be right back with more right after this.
The future is here. You can't see it. It's electric. At NRG, we're providing clean energy and now charging stations to make the electric car a reality. Kinda makes you want a boogie woogie, doesn't it? NRG, moving clean energy forward.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. My guest now here at the Rice Alliance is Seth Burns, co-founder and CEO of BioGas and Electric. Seth, great to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
So tell us about the company.
BioGas and Electric is a startup funded by Waste Management and an SBIR grant.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been great. We're developing a technology that will enable biogas projects to easily comply with existing air quality regulations.
Well, and I'm not sure the audience will know the nuance. I mean, one, you've got a great strategic, right, in waste management. But this SBIR program, if you can explain a little bit about what that is.
Okay, SBIR is a government granting agency that goes through USDA, Department of Energy, and a number of other agencies where they get a number of really top-notch PhDs to look at scientific research, new research, to develop and innovate new ideas and help them become commercialized.
Well, and it's one that when I was at DOE, a certain part of your budget every year, your research budget goes for these SBIR programs.
Yeah.
And you hear of some success, but even more failures. So to see successful companies coming from that's a big deal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I have to say the SBIR folks have been great. USDA is the agency that gave us our grant. We have a phase 1 and we're just starting a phase 2. USDA NEFA. They've given us great feedback. They've got a bunch of really smart people, and they've helped us tremendously.
All right, so walk us through a little bit of the problem you're looking to solve.
Okay. The problem is we're an add-on technology to anaerobic digestion. It's a great process that converts waste to energy. And it does so at the same time by reducing methane emissions from wastewater treatment plants, large dairy farms, hog farms, poultry operations. I don't know if you've ever driven by a giant hog farm or dairy farm recently.
I have not.
Yeah, well, that stench that's just emanating from those facilities is a cocktail of various gases. It includes ammonia and methane. Methane is in fact a greenhouse gas that's 21 times more potent than CO2 when it comes to global warming potential. And anaerobic digestion is a great process that collects that methane, producing baseload power, which everybody can use everywhere.
Well, and how is your technology different from other sort of waste to energy technologies?
We're an add-on to anaerobic digestion technology. The problem is, in Central California and many other regions, the existing air quality regulations make it illegal to combust biogas without some great smog-reducing technology that's added on. And that is expensive, and it works fairly well, but it doesn't work great. So we have a new way of reducing the NOx or the smog in the exhaust stream from the biogas engine. And that will enable these projects to get easily permitted with the air quality authorities, and these projects can go in without any hiccups.
Now, is this NOx RX that I've heard so much about?
Correct, it is. NOx RX is our first product. It's a way of reducing NOx and SO2. NOx is the precursor to smog, and SO2 is the precursor to acid rain. So our solution reduces both of those by greater than 95%. And it's working really well. We've established proof of concept with our bench scale facility, and now Waste Management and Phase 2 SBIR grant are helping us build our pilot project, where we hope to establish scalability and also reliability.
Now, it's oftentimes you'll see that proof of concept, and then on Series B or C, you bring in a strategic. Mm-hmm. How is it that you're able to start off with a strategic like Waste Management?
It's been great to come down here to Rice University. I participated in a Rice business plan competition a couple years ago, where I was introduced to the Waste Management Organic Growth team. They recognized our technology as one that they believed in, and they wanted to help us commercialize it. So Waste Management puts their money where their mouth is, and they help innovate, entrepreneurs bring innovative ideas to market.
All right, so what challenges do you see the company trying to work through over the next 12 months?
Over the next 12 months is largely an engineering challenge. We're trying to take our bench scale model and bring it to full scale. And so it's a scale and an engineering solution that we really need to focus on and make sure we're delivering the same results that we saw on the bench.
And do you work through universities, private laboratories, some of our national labs?
We are working exclusively with the engineering groups that we meet here in Houston and also in our local area of San Diego. So we're using anybody who has some good ideas that they can introduce us to and bring our idea to life.
And do you ultimately see this company being a part of Waste Management? Will it always be separate, IPO? What's the future?
The future we're primarily focused on developing our technology and bringing it to market. Sure. We think once we are able to get it to scale, it will add a tremendous amount of value to the entire biogas industry. There are a number of players in the biogas industry. For example, General Electric builds Jenbacher biogas engines. Caterpillar builds a biogas engine. A couple of great American companies that have a long history of purchasing smaller companies with strong intellectual capital.
Got it. And I'm assuming you're also beginning to think about the international markets and where you might best play?
Yeah. The biogas industry in Europe, it's no secret, is very well developed. And I think their emissions control is on par with what's going on in the United States. And this is really the core of where emissions control technology is being innovated. and I hope to be the first American company to export anaerobic digestion technology to Europe.
Well, that's a good story. Seth,
Yeah.
great to have you on the program.
Paul, it's been outstanding. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, and that concludes this episode of the Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio nationwide. It's seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com. I'm Paul Dickerson, and we'll see you next week.